Hi, I'm James Connor, and welcome to Inspired by Their Stories, the Pulte Family Charitable Foundation's monthly podcast. Welcome to Inspired by Their Stories. Thank you for joining me. We have a great episode lined up for you today, and let me tell you why this episode is so special. As you know, the Pulte Family Charitable Foundation was established out of the generosity of our founder, Bill Pulte. And on March 7, 2018, Mr. Pulte passed away at the age of 85. In honor of a life well lived, we take time every March to reflect on Bill and his legacy. In this episode, we are bringing you two short conversations with some folks who knew Bill well. His daughter and president of the Pulte Family Charitable Foundation, Nancy Pulte Rickard, and his longtime friend, Father Vettese. First up, I'd like to welcome the Pulte Family Charitable Foundation's president and Bill's daughter, Nancy, to our podcast. Nancy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, I want to start with the basics. Can you tell us what it was like growing up in the Pulte household? Where are you in the lineup of all the Pulte kids?
Well, I think the answer to that question is it depends on which chapter you're talking about. My dad had three lives with three wives. So if you take in consideration everybody, there are 9 natural Pulte children, and there were 5 step. So of the 14 kids, I was the 4th eldest. Of the Pulte kids, I was the 3rd eldest. And because I was one of the oldest and the nurturer probably of the older kids, I was one that took care of them a lot of times. I would help do household chores. I remember I was 12 or 13, and I would be the one driving the station wagon up to the A&P to do the grocery shopping. Dad tried to get me a license, a temporary license. And when I didn't get it, I still drove to the grocery store to do all the grocery shopping. It was a big family. It was an organized family. Everybody had their chores. Chores were huge in our family. Nobody got away from doing those.
Imagining with a family that size, you have to be organized and everyone has to pitch in and do their part to make it all work together.
Yes, I think my stepmother, because that's when there were 14 of us. So if you didn't sign out for dinner, you had to end up paying a fee of $3. Also, if you had dish duty that night and you didn't sign out for that, for whatever reason, again, you had to pay $3, $2 or $3. So she had cubby holes for everything. Everything had its place. It was run like a mini hotel, to be honest, with her. Yes. Yes.
Now, when you think about your dad, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
That he was a really good man. He was just a very good man. He was very faith-filled, and he was integritable. He was honest as the day is long. He was a good teacher. I remember as a kid, to teach us responsibility on many different fronts, but one thing that pops to my mind is if we borrowed money from him, you needed $25 for something. He made us write out IOUs. I owe you, Dad, $25 at 4% interest. I will pay back by such and such a date. And this is how I'm going to pay it back. So lots of life lessons growing up with Bill Pulte.
And when you think about those lessons, what still sticks with you today? How has that shaped who you are, or even in your role at the foundation?
Oh, gosh, so many ways. Just real quickly off the top of my head, though, always do the right thing. Always do the right thing, even if it's not going to benefit you, especially for other people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't know something, ask. I think one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned from my dad was, so my dad was not college educated. I think a lot of people know that. But he was not college educated, and he realized he was not the smartest person in the world. He could have never grown Pulte Homes to be what it was, thinking that he was going to do it by himself. So He often said he hired people that were much smarter than him. He was not a person who was worried about who was on top, who's first. He would definitely, take the back seat and give other people the glory. He wasn't, I don't think he was motivated by that by any means. So, that was a huge life lesson because I think in the foundation, I have a lot of smart people on our team, and everybody, in their different disciplines is smarter than I am in their discipline. And I see how that I it doesn't bother me because I see how far we've come as a foundation.
I've heard you share a lot of different memories about your dad over the years, and I was wondering if maybe you could share one this morning with us.
Oh, sure. I think one of the cutest ones as an adult about my dad is, he would come to Florida. I was married at the time, and still am, but I mean, I was married, and he would come to Florida for business, and he always stayed with my husband, Kevin, and I. But one time he said, "Kids, I have a really early morning meeting. Would you mind, Judy, his secretary, got me a hotel room up at the hotel, up at 95 in Hillsborough. Would you guys take me up there?" "Sure, Dad, we'll take you up there." So he wasn't gonna spend the night this particular night. So we take him up there, and he goes, "Well, I don't want you to just drop me off. Could you guys come in? Sometimes they give away my room." So, okay, we park and we walk in to the hotel, and, I think we were in our mid-30s. Kevin, my husband, goes up to the desk, and he's checking Dad in, and I'm sitting with my dad face to face in 2 lobby chairs, and he goes to cross his legs. He always at this period in his life, he loved Bass Weejuns. Never put a penny into one, but because they were the penny loafers, but he never put the anyway.
Yeah.
So, when he crossed his legs, I go, "Dad," I go, "Do you realize you have holes in your shoes?" And I don't know if I can say this word or not, but he goes, "Damn it, do I? I just had them resold for the 3rd time." And so, anyway, I remember that like it was yesterday because here's this at that time, this billionaire, and he's resoling his shoes for the 3rd time. That was my dad. He was truly a frugal man. He'd spend $500 on a putter though, but
Well, we all have our priorities.
but he made sure that he would buy the, paper towel that could be cut, the 3-ply
Yeah.
or so you yeah. So he didn't like waste. Anyway, that's a cute story I remember about my dad.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, so this episode, we will be releasing it in March. And each year when this month rolls around, we always take time to reflect on who Bill was and the impact that he had. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important for the foundation to do this and maybe touch upon how the foundation plays into Bill's legacy overall?
I think one of the reasons it's very important that we have kept Dad's legacy alive is because he's the real reason for the foundation. I mean, he did all this he was boots on the ground, way before we were boots on the ground. His faith always was alive, always in play. Uh, it's just the way he lived his life, and he provides real legitimacy to this foundation because we're just we're just carrying on his legacy, and why not talk about the guy that started it all? I mean, he didn't he wrote a lot of checks, there's no question about that, but he also, again, really lived his faith.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I know I get to talk to you almost every day, but appreciate hearing you talk about your dad and about his legacy, especially because many of us, as you said here, never met him. And so the way that he stays alive and his legacy lives on is by hearing the story. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce you to Father Don Vettese. Father Vettese is the founder of International Samaritan, a cause close to Bill and his wife Karen's hearts. In fact, they were both founding board members for the organization. But Father Vettese was also a close personal friend of Bill's.
I'm going to call this little anecdote, Bill did not always pay the bill. Here's the story. I knew Bill for almost 40 years before he died, and I considered him one of my best friends because he was generous and he was humble and he had a deep faith in God. And that faith would shine through in many, many of his activities and his decisions in life. But all that being said, Bill, like all of us, still had foibles. And one of them was to leave home with absolutely no money, no wallet, no dollar bills, nothing. One day we were out driving near Wixom, Michigan, to a golf manufacturing place to get him a putter. And after we did that, we said, why don't we stop and get some lunch? And he agreed. And we went into this diner and had a nice lunch. And the bill came. Of course, I expected him to pay. And he laughed when I looked at the waitress and said, oh, he'll pay. He said, well, I don't have any money. And the problem was that I didn't have any money with me either. So we both found that funny and started to laugh. The waitress, though, was standing there and she was not
I
laughing.
can imagine she was not amused.
She was not laughing. So we assured her, we told her who Bill was, and she sort of knew. I think she had heard of Pulte Homes. I said, well, he doesn't have any money with him. I don't have any money with me, but we're not going to stiff you. We are going to drive back to Bloomfield and get money from his house and we'll bring it back to you, which we did that afternoon. We came back and paid the bill. So the point, of course, that I make is he did that a lot. He would drive around. He'd have no gas in his car. And one day I said, Bill, you don't have any gas in your car. And I know, you know, you at some point you're going to have to do something. That gas meter says empty. He said, oh, I got to find a place with cheaper gas than we have around here. And he's driving all over the place. Okay. And what happened was he pulled into the gas station where he found the cheapest gas and he discovered he didn't have his credit card. He had no money. Luckily, I did have money that I had my credit card with me that day. Got out of that mess. But he did that. He did that. He'd be around with I don't know if he just did it when I was there, but he did it a lot. Of course, he gave me at my request millions of dollars, which made it even more kind of humorous.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my little story.
That's so funny and so relatable. I cannot tell you the number of times where I have left the house without my wallet and don't realize it until I pull into the gas station or go to pay for lunch or something like that.
Oh, for God's sake, you do that too? James, that's terrible. It really is. It could be a real problem, but the times I was with Bill that it happened, I mean, we made it. We got through it and just laughed. Of course, he laughed at everything. Okay, I'm gonna go away, James, and when you get to Detroit, call me and we will go and have lunch and dinner and you can pay.
Perfect. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. But more importantly, I hope the stories that you heard today help give you a better understanding of who Bill Pulte was and why the foundation does what it does today. That's a wrap on this episode of Inspired by Their Stories from the Pulte Family Charitable Foundation. If you're feeling inspired, please share this episode with a friend. Until next time, be good to each other and inspire others to do the same.